Tonight, former President Trump takes the fifth during his hours-long testimony in New York. Trump repeatedly refusing to answer questions from New York's Attorney General as part of a civil probe into his business practices. In the past, he has mocked the use of the Fifth Amendment, but today he said he invoked it because he and his family are, quote, targets of a politically motivated witch hunt. And it comes just 2 days after that FBI search at his Mar-a-Lago home. We've got the latest on both investigations. Also, the shocking new video of a deadly home explosion in Indiana. At least 3 people killed there and 4 houses completely destroyed. Dozens of homes in the area have also been damaged, and rescuers have been called in to make sure no one else is trapped under the rubble. Taming inflation, a new report showing a slowdown in consumer prices, but Americans are still feeling the pinch on everything from gas to groceries. And a look at just how much back-to-school supplies could cost families this year. Plus, the deadly flooding emergency in South Korea. Some areas seeing more than a foot of rain in just an hour, all highlighting the city's housing crisis, with residents in basement dwellings becoming trapped or dying. Highway plane crash, the moment a small plane crash lands on a busy Los Angeles freeway and bursts into flames, both people managing to walk away. And poisonous plot, the California dermatologist arrested after being caught on a secret recording that allegedly shows her pouring Drano into her husband's drinks. Top story starts right now. Good evening, I'm Gadi Schwartz in for Tom Llamas. We begin tonight with the investigation into former President Trump and his surprising move today in front of New York Attorney General. Video shows the former president as he left Trump Tower in New York City to sit for a deposition as part of the investigation into his business practices. Trump invoking the Fifth Amendment during the 6-hour deposition, despite previously claiming only mob bosses use that right. Trump saying he did it because he and his children were the targets of a witch hunt. Those claims of a witch hunt only amplified by the former president and his supporters after that FBI search at Mar-a-Lago. Tonight, we're learning new details about the agents who were on the ground. So let's get right to senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell in Washington.
Deposition day in New York for former President Donald Trump.
How do you feel, Mr. Trump? How do you feel?
But today, his blunt, brash words were saved for a press release as he refused to answer questions from the New York Attorney General's office, part of a long-running civil investigation of the Trump family business practices. I decline to answer questions under the rights and privileges afforded to every citizen under the United States Constitution, a right he is free to assert.
Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Horrible. Horrible.
But one he has repeatedly mocked.
You see, the mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
A Trump lawyer in the room says the former president did read a statement where he called this inquiry the greatest witch hunt in the history of our country and accused Attorney General Letitia James of, quote, openly campaigning on a policy of destroying me. At an April campaign event, James touted her case.
And we sued the most powerful individual in this country to hold him accountable because no one is above the law.
His eldest children involved in the Trump business have testified, Don Jr. and Ivanka earlier this month, while Eric Trump testified 2 years ago. Court records show he invoked his Fifth Amendment right more than 500 times over 6 hours. Investigators want to know if the Trump organization improperly altered the value of its hotels, golf clubs, and holdings to gain financially with lenders and on taxes. Today, Mr. Trump claimed that a separate investigation, the search warrant executed Monday by the FBI in Florida, was a tipping point in his decision against self-incrimination. If there was any question in my mind, the raid of my home, Mar-a-Lago, on Monday by the FBI, just 2 days prior to this deposition, wiped out any uncertainty. A federal official says the FBI carried out an orderly court-approved search from about 9 to 6:30 Monday and wore plain clothes, not the blue FBI windbreakers typically associated with a raid. Today, FBI Director Chris Wray declined to discuss the investigation, but did respond when asked about threats to agents from angry Trump supporters.
Violence against law enforcement is not the answer, no matter what anybody's upset about or who they're upset with.
And Kelly joins us now from the White House. Kelly, what more are we hearing about today from the former president?
Well, the former president's legal team says, despite the things that we heard him say, the accusations against the office of the Attorney General in New York State, that this meeting was cordial. And we also heard from the former president himself, who posted on social media after he left the hours he spent behind closed doors there. He called it very professional. That's a real change in the rhetoric. Of course, he'd been calling it a witch hunt and saying they were after him personally. So they toned things down quite a bit. From the office of the New York Attorney General, very little. They did say that he did assert his Fifth Amendment privilege. The investigation continues, and they pointed out that Letitia James was present herself to be a part of today's deposition. Gotti?
Thank you, Kelly. For more on this civil investigation of the Trump family business practices and all of the former president's legal drama, let's bring in former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance, also a University of Alabama law professor and MSNBC legal analyst. Joyce, the former president for years has said only mob bosses plead the Fifth. This was a very high stakes deposition for him. Were you surprised, and what do you think this means?
This was an entirely predictable decision, one that looks like a legal strategy, because Trump's lawyers have a notoriously difficult client on their hands. And one thing you don't want to do with someone in this setting is give them free range to testify and say things that may be harmful in this setting. Is this related to the search at Mar-a-Lago, as maybe was suggested today? That seems very unlikely, because from what we know about that situation, it's a discrete investigation into retaining classified materials, while the investigation in New York is a civil one, although maybe with some criminal tentacles that involves business practices. So I think this was more a convenient excuse than actual substance.
Do you think this could impact the AG's decision on whether or not to file a suit, since she's already said that she's found evidence of wrongdoing?
So from an evidentiary point of view, asserting the Fifth Amendment in a criminal case is something that a jury would never find out. But in a civil case, if this were ultimately to end up as a civil trial, the Attorney General could ask that the judge instruct the jury that they can draw negative inferences if someone declines to answer questions because they believe the answers might incriminate them. So maybe this is a part of a calculus of evidence, but in many ways a deposition like this is an opportunity for someone who's under investigation to explain to prosecutors, to explain to the state's Attorney General why their conduct was legitimate and why they shouldn't be charged, why they shouldn't be further investigated, why they shouldn't have, in this case, civil action taken against them. Asserting your Fifth Amendment privilege over and over doesn't move the needle on that.
And you just talked about the jury, and it makes me think of if this ever did get to a jury, would it be difficult to bring in a jury with this much publicity to a case that we've never seen before?
You know, I'm constantly astounded and was in my 25 years at DOJ about our ability to get juries that simply don't know about the facts in these cases. Of course, they'll all know who the former president was, but there will be a large number of people who won't have been following a case like this with sort of the fervor that people who are interested in news and politics and law do. And so we see this happen all the time, most recently in the prosecution of Steve Bannon, where really the judge had very little trouble helping the lawyers on both sides select a jury that simply didn't have any sort of a view walking into the room about Steve Bannon.
So you're saying that there's a chance that a jury, an impartial jury, can be chosen that may not know that the president took the Fifth Amendment, or the former president?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the sort of consideration that often as we're looking at the news of the day, we think, oh, it's impossible. Everybody will know about this. 6 months, 10 months down the road, when a jury is being voir dired, that's the questioning that the judge and the lawyers use to determine whether there's any bias among prospective members of a jury. It's really very interesting to see how many people you get who are involved in their own daily lives and aren't as involved in the facts of your case.
And Joyce, switching gears to the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago, there is a lot of confusion over the serving of that search warrant. Can you clarify something for us? When someone is served with a search warrant by the FBI, what kind of paperwork do they get, and are they allowed to share that with the public?
Yeah, this is a really great question. It's very important. First off, someone like Trump who receives a search warrant absolutely has the ability to share it. But the information that the person whose property is being searched received is only a part of the package that the Justice Department prepares. There are really four important pieces of paper. The first piece is an application to get a search warrant. That's the piece of paper where DOJ typically lays out the statutes, the criminal violations that it's investigating. Trump didn't get that. We likely won't see that. That's part of the materials that go under seal. But then the search warrant itself, which the judge signs off on if he or she finds that there's probable cause for a search, that document is left at the residence, in this case at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump would have that. That will talk primarily about the conditions under which the search can be conducted and what the items to be seized might look like. So that's available. There's usually an attachment behind that page. There's a block on that form that calls for a detailed listing of what items can be searched. Usually that's attachment B. That too would be received by someone like Trump, along with what's called a return of service, a form that the agents fill out after the search. And they list an inventory of items that they've seized for the property owner to retain. I have wondered in a situation like this where the documents appear to involve national security, whether that might not be a very vague list or in some ways redacted. I don't think it will be as robust as it would normally be. So that's what Trump has. And the final document, the document that we all want to see but won't have any access to, is the affidavit that the agent would have prepared for the judge to see. That's the recitation of all the reasons that prosecutors and agents believe probable cause to search exists. Unfortunately for all of us who are curious about the details, that document too will be sealed. Very unlikely that we'll see it.
Joyce, thanks so much for following this for us. Breaking tonight, a home explosion leaving 3 dead in Evansville, Indiana. Take a look at this. This is security camera footage showing the whole thing. It happened just after 1 p.m. there. Officials saying the explosion also damaged multiple homes in the surrounding area. Let's bring in NBC's Jesse Kirsch live with the late breaking details tonight. Jesse, what more do we know about this explosion?
Well, Gotti, right now we know that this deadly blast was powerful enough to damage 39 homes. That's according to the Evansville fire chief, who says the ATF is now involved. And while the federal blast analysis is ongoing, the search for victims is currently on pause. I want to show you that video again. You just showed it there, Gotti. And here's another look at it, because if you look closely, you see all that debris flying in the air, but it also appears that some of the debris is coming all the way down the block to where this camera was placed, which gives you an idea of how powerful this blast appears to be. The fire chief says there is a 100-foot radius around the blast site that is currently not searchable. So far, one person has been taken to the hospital for treatment, according to the fire department. And thankfully, we're told no firefighters were injured. We're, of course, going to be watching for the latest developments on this breaking story, because when you look at the images from the scene there, Gotti, clearly unanswered questions about what could have caused this, how this unfolded, and how many people may be unaccounted for right now. Because again, Gotti, we are not allowed, according to officials, they are not allowed to get all the way up to this blast site because of the federal investigation.
Looking at that aftermath, you got to wonder, what does this mean for all the people that live in the surrounding area?
Yeah, and obviously some of these people are going to be in mourning tonight. We're told 3 people are dead, with 39 homes damaged at some degree. You can imagine other people might be displaced. And even if someone's home wasn't damaged in that neighborhood, there's the potential that if they are close enough, they may not be able to go home either. And so officials are directing people to a nearby shelter site for the time being. But again, Gotti, a lot of unanswered questions here.
Thank you. Now to signs of inflation possibly cooling down. The leading indicator unchanged from June, but still up 8.5% from last July. The drop likely fueled by gas prices falling for 57 days in a row. That news pushing the markets higher today. NBC News correspondent Tom Costello has the details.
On a hot and steamy summer day, word that inflation remains hot but maybe losing steam was welcome news at the White House.
Jobs are booming and Americans are working, and we're seeing some signs that inflation may be beginning to moderate.
The administration under pressure to tame inflation before the midterm elections in November. The good news, gas prices have dropped $1 after hitting an all-time high in June, now averaging $4.01 a gallon nationally, and could fall below $4 this week. And airfares have dropped nearly 8% in a month. But Americans are still paying for sticker shock on just about everything compared to a year ago. Gas prices still up 44%. Those airline ticket prices up 28%. Food up 11%. And the average household will spend $864 on back-to-school shopping this year. Clothing, sneakers, backpacks, all more expensive. In Miami, the raw ingredients for Isabel Garcia Nevitt's chocolate business have jumped 10 to 15%. Forcing her to postpone expansion plans and charge customers more.
I think most people know, and most people are aware that there's inflation, that we are in a sort of a strange economic times.
Meanwhile, housing costs have jumped 5.7% in a year. Rents also soaring. Jordan Hubbard gets assistance to attend NYU in Manhattan, but is now struggling to find a place to live during his senior year.
When I first showed up to NYU, rent was $1,100, $1,200, and that was affordable. But now, being over $1,600, that's just not a thing for me anymore.
The hope tonight that inflation may have peaked earlier this summer, and with 50-year low unemployment, a full recession could be less likely.
If we can indeed lower the rate of price increases, lower inflation, then consumers have a fighting chance in this economy to keep spending and keep growing. And that's good news.
With inflation starting to ebb, the question is, might that relieve pressure on the Fed not to hike rates as dramatically in September to keep inflation under control? We do expect the Fed to raise rates even more in September. It will be looking at the July inflation data and the August inflation data and the latest numbers at that time on jobs. But at the moment, with 50-year low unemployment and inflation that's starting to ebb, many economists are hoping the Fed won't have to raise rates as aggressively come September. Gotti?
Tom, thank you. July's consumer price index could be a sign that relief is on the horizon. But as we just heard, many Americans are still feeling the squeeze from inflation. I want to bring in Julia Coronado. She is the founder of Macro Policy Perspectives and former Fed economist. Julia, the consumer price index shows inflation seems to be cooling now. Do you think that this is a turning point in the economy?
It certainly could be a turning point in inflation. When we look at some of the leading indicators, as you mentioned, for August and September, very critical for what the Fed is going to be looking at. Gasoline futures are telling us that gas prices are going to continue to decline into August and September, and some other commodity prices. There's some hopeful signs on food prices. It usually takes time for that to feed into the grocery store prices consumers see at the store. But again, we've seen some relief on some of those raw food prices. So we could get that filtering in as well. So we are seeing some hopeful signs. Some of the rent indicators are starting to cool off. Things are running very hot. I don't think the Fed is close to being done raising interest rates, but they may be able to slow the pace down. They've been going 75 basis point rate hikes per meeting in the last two meetings. That's sort of unprecedented, not unprecedented, but very decades since we've seen that kind of pace of rate hikes. They might go maybe half a percentage point in September and see how things unfold from there.
It's fascinating to see a lot of red and green there, two different directions. Gas prices dropped a lot in July, but then we saw food and housing costs still rising. Do you think the month-to-month change is from people changing their habits, or is there something else at play here?
That's really a great question. You put your finger right on it. One of the good things is that we're seeing a mix of red and green. That tells us that consumers are starting to become more price sensitive. During the pandemic, when people could only buy a certain number of goods and they couldn't even spend money on travel and other services, they were very price insensitive. They were willing to pay ever higher prices for cars and other types of goods. Now we're starting to see consumers are out and about. They can buy the full range of goods and services, and they're starting to exercise a little bit more price sensitivity. When airfares go up a lot, they back off a little bit, travel a little bit less. And that's the kind of price sensitivity that's the leading indicator that could lead us to a lower path of inflation going forward.
And Julia, the $1 trillion question, do you think that the Fed could find a soft landing at this point, or is it still too soon?
We still have a shot at a soft landing. I mean, again, it will be determined by the inflation dynamics that we see. So does inflation cool off while the labor market still has enough momentum to carry the economy forward? I would say the recent flow of data has been pretty hopeful on that front, but we're definitely not out of the woods yet. Inflation is still running too high for the Fed's comfort. We're still far from their 2% target, so they are going to keep going. But if we keep seeing prints like this on the monthly inflation indicators, then I think we've got a shot at that all important soft landing that the Fed is seeking and that we all hope for.
Thank you so much for joining us, Julia. Inflation isn't the only hot button issue in Washington. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is sending thousands of migrants to D.C. and New York City in response to record-breaking immigration at the southern border. Officials from those cities slamming Abbott, saying he is using migrants as political pawns. Here's NBC's Zincle Isamoah.
A New York welcome after a Texas rejection. On Wednesday morning, 3 more buses filled with migrants arriving in New York City. Women with children seen carrying little more than a plastic bag and a small collection of documents. This comes as Texas Governor Greg Abbott repeatedly sends thousands of migrants from the border state to Democrat-run cities like Washington, D.C. and New York, all since May. A move triggering sharp condemnation from New York's mayor on Sunday.
This is horrific.
The cities say lack of notice about migrant arrivals has meant a lack of preparation for city immigration officials.
A bus company that is chartered by the state of Texas is not communicating with New York City, so it's hard to know the time of arrival. This is a political stunt by Governor Abbott. He's unfortunately using human beings as political pawns.
In Washington, D.C., more than 5,500 migrants and asylum seekers have been transported to the nation's capital from Texas, prompting D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to request assistance from the National Guard, a request denied by the Pentagon, according to a letter reviewed by NBC. As for Texas's reasoning, in a statement, Governor Abbott says, quote, in addition to Washington, D.C., New York City is the ideal destination for these migrants who can receive the abundance of city services and housing that Mayor Eric Adams has boasted about within the sanctuary city. But New York's mayor says it's adding strain to New York's already stretched thin social services.
A little over 4,000 of asylum seekers that are now into our shelter system. 4,000.
Mayor Adams announcing emergency measures to expand shelter capacity for asylum seekers on Tuesday, and now asking the federal government for assistance. All as the ACLU Texas and National call on the federal government to investigate Texas Governor Abbott. Abbott says he will not stop sending buses until the Biden administration changes its U.S.-Mexico border policies, a decision that leaves migrants and asylum seekers in flux.
Merecemos una oportunidad.
And Gotti, right now I'm standing in front of Port Authority. It's New York City's transit hub, and it's where that group of an estimated 100 asylum seekers arrived just this morning. Now, New York continues to say that Texas did not alert them that this group was coming. However, officials were still able to provide medical evaluations and other services, though they worry they may not be able to keep up with demand. Back to you, Gotti.
Thank you, Zincle. Next tonight, the Department of Justice has charged an Iranian man with plotting to murder former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton in the U.S. last year. And this was on top of an even larger alleged Iranian plot to kill former Trump officials. NBC's chief Washington correspondent Andrea Mitchell joins us now with the details. Andrea, what's the latest on this investigation?
Gotti, this is just an incredible story. The criminal complaint from the Justice Department says a member of Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards Quds force, Shahram Poursavi, offered $300,000 to kill John Bolton in the D.C. area in retaliation for the Trump administration's assassination of the Revolutionary Guards commander, Qasem Soleimani, killed in Baghdad in 2020. The Justice Department said he had an additional job for $1 million to target another American. Two sources familiar with the plot say that person is former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Poursavi, believed to be in Tehran, did not know the assassin that he was hiring was a confidential U.S. government informant. In addition to Bolton and Pompeo, as you alluded to, Iran was also plotting to kill former Defense Secretary Mark Esper, former Iran negotiator Brian Hook, and former National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. All of them continue to have round-the-clock security ordered by the Biden administration, costing millions and millions of dollars every month. Now, tonight, Iran called the Bolton allegation baseless. Gotti?
And Andrea, is there any indication that there may be another suspect still at large here? What happens next?
Well, first of all, how do they get him out of Tehran? I mean, you could imagine a rendition. There's a wanted poster out for him. Obviously, they want to get this guy. But right now he's out beyond reach, and there are clearly other people involved. Yes.
So alarming. Thanks so much, Andrea. Now overseas to the historic rain in South Korea. The country's capital swamped by heavy rains and massive flooding, trapping a lot of people who live in semi-underground homes. NBC's Matt Bradley has more.
In South Korea's capital region, a deluge, turning Seoul's busy streets into rivers. The central Dongjak district recording 18 inches of rainfall Monday night into Tuesday and 5.5 inches in just 1 hour, the heaviest downpour in 8 decades.
비가 많이 내려서 힘들었는데 지금은 아예 잠겨버려서 가기가 힘든 상황이에요. 버스가 잠긴 친구들도 봤고.
Store owners and basement apartment dwellers in low-lying areas rushing to escape the rising waters.
점포 안에는 여기 갈비뼈 있는 정도까지 들어와 갔고요. 물이 어떻게 간신히 여기서 고립돼서 못 나갈 거를 그냥 사람 몸만 빠져나갔어요.
But not everyone was able to make it to higher ground. Among the 10 confirmed fatalities, a family of 3 in South Seoul who got trapped in their half-basement home. Their deaths highlighting the city's growing housing inequality and the plight of the urban poor who live in semi-basement apartments.
지하방 사는데 다 버려야 되니까 컴퓨터고 생활할 수 있는 먹는 그릇까지 다 버려야 되는 입장이 돼버렸으니까 어떻게 해볼 수가 없어. 그냥 너무 가난한 사람들이 사니까 돈이 없으니까 이렇게 된 거예요. 근데 너무
The risk of flooding in Seoul's sub-basement apartments, famously dramatized in the Oscar-winning film Parasite. A key part of the film's larger commentary on growing social inequality in South Korea. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol visiting the flood zone, apologizing for the government's disaster response, calling for improvements to the country's flood management systems in response to climate change. For the city's thousands of basement apartment dwellers, now the hard work begins of cleaning up, pumping out, and drying what belongings they can save. Matt Bradley, NBC News.
We now turn to the weather here at home. Flood watches underway stretching from Tennessee to coastal Virginia. Heavy rains and soaking thunderstorms causing dangerous flooding. Severe storms also hitting the mid-Atlantic as the middle of the week takes a wet and treacherous turn. For more on the forecast, I want to bring in NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, what are you watching tonight?
We got urban areas that have major flooding, and we also have rural areas, too. So we have it all. And let me show you the pictures out of Washington, D.C. This is Rhode Island Avenue, northwest D.C. And yes, that's like a fishbowl, and we're the fish. Looking outside at Rhode Island Avenue, water is up to the doorway. And believe it or not, the owner of this business said this is the 3rd time they've had significant flooding like this in the last 3 weeks. So obviously there's a drainage issue, and Northwest D.C. has been hit pretty hard a couple times by thunderstorms. So all the maroon dots on this map show you where we currently have flash flood warnings. Way too many for me to mention. There's the one around Baltimore right now. We have one around Virginia Beach. And then these are the ones we worry about in the mountainous areas of West Virginia, right along the border here of Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and numerous flash flood warnings in Kentucky. As of now, none of the hard-hit counties from 2 weeks ago with the devastating historic flooding and all the deaths, none of those counties haven't hit hard yet, but we still have numerous areas that are getting very heavy rainfall at this hour. So here's our live radar. I notice the D.C. area still light rain, so that's slowly improving. We have numerous heavy rain bands moving into southern portions of West Virginia. Heavy rain just to the north of Charleston. That's worrisome because that's on the front. We could get training on that. And then we'll watch this area of rain near London, Kentucky. Thankfully, it looks like it's weakening as it heads into that eastern portions of Kentucky with the flood zone. And here's a closer view. There's London. My hand right here shows you where all the flooding was, the historic. and it looks like all the rain is kind of weakening as it approaches that area. So additional rainfall, my concern is West Virginia and an area here of central Virginia as we go throughout the overnight. And then tomorrow we will have some rain, but again, that'll shift to the south, more into Tennessee and into areas of Kentucky. But we still have a long ways to go tonight to make sure all those people are safe.
Yeah, Bill, those images out of D.C., wild. Yeah. Thanks so much. Still ahead tonight, arming schools. The district's now providing school resource officers with rifles and AR-15s. Could more cities follow suit, and could teachers be next? Plus, the massive fire destroying a recycling plant in Illinois. The warning tonight for residents in that area. And the California dermatologist arrested for allegedly poisoning her husband. What he found after he set up a hidden camera inside their home. Stay with us. Now to the school shooting crisis in America as the debate over how heavily to arm adults in schools rages on. 2 county sheriffs speaking out and saying law enforcement in some schools will have long guns and AR-15s. NBC's Kerry Sanders has that story.
Tonight, a Florida sheriff is fighting fire with fire.
I firmly believe that if you do not meet violence with violence, you will be violently killed.
Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey posting this video on Facebook explaining why he is arming school resource deputies with long guns as part of their, quote, new style uniform.
A tactical appearance that clearly signifies we mean business when it comes to protecting our children, and a tactical advantage that gives our team the ability to instantly address an active shooter.
And he's not alone. A North Carolina sheriff taking similar steps, arming all school resource officers with an AR-15 rifle in the wake of a rise of school shootings across the country.
And I'm very distraught about the condition that our country is going in. If we don't put the brakes on and do an about-face, we're headed to destruction.
These actions taken in the wake of the Uvalde, Texas school massacre, where surveillance video showed officers waiting in the hallways, hesitating to take out the heavily armed gunmen.
If they do come to my school, I want my resource officers to have the ability to meet violence with violence.
He says the weapons, which will be paid for by donations from community members, will be kept in a gun safe in an undisclosed location at each school, and SROs will receive training. One local parent, a gun shop owner, says the move will keep his kids safe.
They should be able to have the same equipment that, possibly an active shooter would have, and be able to take them down from a longer distance if need be.
But the American Federation of Teachers has generally been critical of putting more arms in schools.
Conservative politicians know that this is really important. We have to keep kids safe. We have to keep schools safe. And so they're coming up with something to create more guns, not less guns. It's wrong.
But in Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine signed a bill into law that makes it easier for teachers to carry guns in schools. Instead of teachers needing 700 hours of training to possess a firearm on school grounds, they'll now be able to finish in 24 hours.
This training will be focused training specifically tailored to those working in schools.
The governor says schools are not required to arm teachers, but teachers still pushed back.
To introduce firearms into a setting where there are, hundreds of children each day is just not a wise course of action.
Victims' families and survivors in Parkland, Florida, are now waiting for the sentencing of the confessed gunman who murdered 17 students and staff at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. One survivor telling me if they had had protection like they now have in Brevard County, Florida, just maybe the massacre would have never happened. Gotti?
Kerry, thank you. Now to an alleged poisoning plot in Southern California. A doctor is accused of secretly putting drain cleaner into her husband's drink, and he claims he caught her on camera. NBC's Stephen Romo has more.
Tonight, a California dermatologist is accused of poisoning her husband using Drano, and he says he caught it all on a hidden home camera.
You could see her go into the sink and take out a large red bottle and pour a little bit into the cup.
Dr. Emily Yu was arrested last week on suspicion of poisoning her husband, radiologist Dr. Jack Chen, according to the Irvine Police Department. His attorney says Chen was diagnosed with gastritis earlier in the summer and started wondering if it might have a sinister cause.
He also started to notice that there was a chemical taste in what he would make in the morning as a he calls it a tea. It's a hot lemonade.
In July, setting up a camera to see if his suspicions were correct.
So Dr. Yu so knew what his pattern and preferences was and what he did in the morning that she slipped right in and was administering this poison. We don't know for how long she had been doing it.
The request for a restraining order stating the video Chen took, quote, shows me taking a sip of my still hot lemonade, covering my cup with saran wrap, and then of Emily taking the Drano from under the sink, removing the covering to pour the Drano, and then replacing the cellophane. Yu was arrested last week after Chen went to police with video evidence of 3 incidents in July. She was released from custody just 1 day later after posting bond of $30,000. Chen obtained that temporary restraining order after the arrest, in it claiming Yu and her mother were abusive toward him and their 2 children for years.
It was Dr. Chen getting on video her poisoning him that he finally broke the cycle of violence and said, I'm protecting the kids and me.
In a statement, Yu's attorney saying she denies the attempted poisoning, writing in part, as a well-respected physician, her goal has always been to help people and never to harm people. Accordingly, she also strongly denies her husband's claims of abusing him and their children emotionally and physically, adding they are concerned, quote, false allegations have been made by her husband in an attempt to gain an advantage in his recently filed divorce and custody case against her. Do you think there's any other way to interpret that video other than what you're saying, the poisoning?
No. 3 times. 3 times captured on video. Not just once. 3 times. So this is not a mistake.
Chen and his attorney filing for that divorce the same day they filed for a protective order.
We certainly have to take the shame off of men who are victims of abuse.
And Stephen Romo joins us now. So, Stephen, what comes next for Emily Yu and Jack Chen?
Yeah, well, Chen's lawyer tells us right now they're hoping for charges to actually be brought against Emily. Anything from spousal abuse to attempted murder, but so far the DA has not brought those charges, and her attorney denies any wrongdoing in this case. As for Chen himself, his attorney says he's still recovering from what happened, saying that the throat swelling, irritation, all those stomach issues continue to clear up. Meanwhile, Gotti, their divorce is also still pending.
Wow. Thanks so much, Stephen. And when we come back, the car gone airborne. New video showing an out-of-control car crash landing onto parked cars in an auto body shop. What we're learning about the driver coming up next. Back now with Top Stories news feed, and we begin with the massive fire at a recycling plant in Indiana. New video shows flames ripping through the building in Madison. Thick clouds of black smoke could be seen for miles, even picked up on Doppler radar. At least 1 employee was hospitalized. Residents in the area urged to stay inside, close all doors and windows, and turn off air conditioning as crews monitor the air quality. New details tonight in the search for a missing 16-year-old in California. Police releasing new surveillance images of Kylie Rodney. It was taken at a store in Truckee just hours before she disappeared. That followed a party at a campground. Police are also revealing the last ping on her phone was just after 12:30 a.m. More than 16 different law enforcement agencies have joined that search. Now to the wild crash caught on camera in Texas. Surveillance video shows the moment a car goes airborne before flipping over, then taking out several parked cars. This happened at the body shop near the state's border with Mexico. The business says the cars were heavily damaged and they were contacting all of the owners. So far, no word on any injuries, but that driver was reportedly under the influence. And the trial over pictures taken from the scene of Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash is now underway. Jury selection started today in downtown Los Angeles. Kobe's widow, Vanessa Bryant, is suing the county sheriff's office and firefighters for allegedly taking photos of the scene, which included the remains of the basketball star. Those photos were circulated without the family's consent. Vanessa Bryant is expected to testify. Now to a plane crash on a highway in California. 2 people inside this single-engine plane walking away from the fiery wreck after that aircraft lost power. NBC's national correspondent Miguel Almaguer has more on this incredible crash landing.
Pilot Andrew Cho says he's lucky to be alive tonight after these terrifying moments Tuesday. His small plane crash landing onto a California freeway, clipping the back of a pickup truck with 3 people inside before bursting into flames in the middle of traffic about 50 miles southeast of Los Angeles.
It was pretty scary.
Miraculously, no one in the plane or on the ground was injured.
Responding to a plane crash on the freeway eastbound into a vehicle.
This video, released by TMZ, appears to show people running from the wreckage.
Airplane landed on the freeway.
Cho says he and a friend were taking a lunchtime leisure flight to Catalina Island in his single-engine Piper when he began to have engine trouble and had to quickly decide where to land.
In my judgment, we weren't going to be able to make the airport landing field without possibly hitting a building. And so I had to make a decision to land on the freeway.
Cho and his friend kicking out a door of the plane just minutes before the plane erupted into a fiery ball of flames. Firefighters putting out the blaze as everyone in the area breathed a sigh of relief.
I'm ecstatic I'm alive.
The California Highway Patrol says because of the pilot's quick thinking, nobody was hurt in the plane or on the ground. Back to you.
Now to Top Stories Global Watch and the raging wildfires in Europe as another extreme heat wave sweeps the continent. Out of control fires in the southwestern part of France have burned more than 15,000 acres, homes destroyed, another 10,000 people evacuated. And in Portugal, a wildfire in the mountains is now ravaging a nature park. So far, no injuries or deaths have been reported in either country. Unrest in western Mexico after authorities captured several cartel bosses. New video shows firefighters working to put out a semi-truck fire. And officials say dozens of trucks and cars and businesses were all set ablaze. Officials say the fires are likely an effort by cartels to distract authorities during prison transports. And Kenya calling for calm during a tight presidential race. Preliminary results show the country's deputy president is neck and neck with the main opposition leader. The country's current leader is asking citizens to remain peaceful despite the results. Previous elections have led to violence in that country. And coming up, the children of Ukraine. Kids now growing up in a war zone or becoming refugees in their own country. A first-hand look at how a few of them are trying to survive. We're back and turning now to the war in Ukraine. About 2/3 of Ukrainian children have fled their homes at some point during the war, according to the UN. An entire generation of kids growing up as refugees in their own country. NBC's Josh Letterman is there with the story of 3 that are trying to navigate childhood in a war zone.
My name's Zlata.
Zlata is 9 years old, from Mariupol, a city destroyed by war, now occupied by Russia. And tell me about the day that you left Mariupol. What do you remember about that day?
My dad yanked me out of bed and shouted, "Everyone to the floor," and we crawled to the hallway.
These are Ukraine's children of war, a generation growing up to the sounds of air raid sirens, artillery, and missiles. Many now refugees in their own country. Did you bring any of your toys with you from Mariupol?
No, we couldn't bring anything.
Mama. 7-year-old Katya is also from Mariupol. When war broke out, her parents went searching for supplies and water, leaving Katya alone at home. What were you thinking when you were all by yourself and you heard those loud sounds?
I thought, this is the end for me. I got scared. I began running around the house. I didn't know where I should go.
Her parents made it home, and the family went to join Katya's grandmother.
Soon, the electricity was gone. 2 days later, the water was gone. The next day, the gas went out. They cooked food on a fire.
Katya and Zlata made it out of Mariupol before the city fell to Russia, fleeing to Kyiv, where 10-year-old Maxim also lives.
I am 6th grade. My favorite objects of school is PE.
Before the war, Max liked playing basketball and rooting for the LA Lakers.
On the first day of the war, we went to a shelter. It stank of mold and mildew so bad.
The next day, Max's family fled Kyiv, making it to Romania, then on to Germany, where they had nowhere to live. He spent 2 months sleeping on a cot. What do you understand about why this war is happening?
I don't know.
Roughly 2/3 of Ukraine's children have had to flee their homes at some point in this war, according to the UN. Many of them now struggling with trauma that could affect them for years to come. Psychologist Anna Chasanikova works with kids traumatized by war. She's from Mariupol herself.
Before the war, children only saw military equipment on TV, in movies, and in video games.
She says kids under 4 don't yet understand the word war, but the older kids understand why they've lost everything.
Children fear they may run out of food, and they're afraid of running out of water.
Are you scared to go back?
Yes, because of the city. There's no city anymore.
Max's family returned to Kyiv after the Russians retreated to the east. What was the first thing you noticed when you got back to Ukraine?
Buildings destroyed by missiles.
When the air raid sirens sound, Katya says she's not scared, just angry.
I know I must be mature, because when I'm a grown-up, my parents won't protect me. I'll have to be fearless, like them.
Gotti, these kids are among the lucky ones who made it to safety, but not everyone did. Zlata told me the person she misses most in Mariupol is her grandmother, who is stuck there with a broken leg, can't leave. Zlata doesn't know if she'll ever see her grandmother again. Gotti?
Thanks so much for watching Top Story. For Tom Llamas, I'm Gotti Schwartz in New York. Stay right there. More news is on the way.